Okay, hi Venu. Good morning. You can hear us?
Yes, good morning. How are you, Sunand?
Yeah, I'm good, Venu. Okay, so I have your resume with me. So
Hmm?
can you quickly walk us through your resume with respect to your role and responsibility as a Scrum Master in a brief?
Sure. So Sunand, I have been agile space from a couple of years, say about 5 years. So I manage two geographically distributed teams. So where my roles and responsibilities comes obviously, helping the team, deliver on their commitments and a sprint by a sprint what we do, and the next big part is looking at their impediments, if anything which is going to come in between their sprint work, which I can kind of remove them with their impediments and make their work much more easier to achieve their sprint goal as such. So I have certified the Scrum Master, and I have a Safe Agilist certification as well, and I have worked in different locations as such. I have worked, of course, in Denmark. I am based out, and I have worked for some time in Canada, and of course, in India also. I have worked. I have experience in working with different people with from the different cultural backgrounds. So, as far as my strengths is goes, so I am good at team building. Maybe I have launched teams from the scratch in the Scrum teams as such, and I have built the script, and I have just coached them towards high performing journey. Yeah, it's been good. I enjoy kind of working as a Scrum Master, especially the servant leadership aspect is what something which I'm absolutely in love with, because I have been a project manager as well before. Because there, the where we worked in a traditional context where uh, the journey, which is a totally different way we look at especially the leadership context. So I am loving that part of it. Yeah, that's about me.
Hey, great Venu. Okay, so Venu, what is your team opinion about you? If they have to, if I'm going to ask your any of your team members that okay, how's Venu is, so what do you think their opinion about you?
Well, I think maybe there is an interesting anecdote on that. So once I was conducting one of the one retros. So there maybe the initially when we wanted to do the check-in, and you need to get the people, kind of into the kind of a mood to the retrospective, and where I can get all these people, involved, just leaving behind their work, and so I was just conducting. That check-in where I asked a question that okay, if you want to define this sprint what we have been through as a car brand, so how would you define it? So maybe if you look at the different brands which has a different um, class and different things as together. So I was just explaining them that maybe we have cars like maybe a Hyundai, a Suzuki, Mitsubishi, and maybe a Ferrari. And I said Ferrari is being something the best thing which if it has happened, and maybe you can put it in this order. So that's a interesting discussion we had, and generally they know that I always look for to get something best out of the team, and to make them do the best things what with what they do on their work in the context of it could be on a daily basis if you look at in a big picture. So there they named me after Ferrari. So they tease me as Ferrari in the sense the context they look at is so I want the best out of them. So they they okay, this Ferrari is in now. So that's how they tease me.
Okay, so looks like you are very popular among your team.
Yeah,
Very open
yes,
up. Yeah.
yeah. We are indeed. We work as a team. That we of course we as a team. Everybody has a different roles to perform to deliver the best, and to deliver a value to the customer or a client what we work for. So at the end of the day, we don't have any hierarchical stuff. We gel very much as a team, and we work as a team. So. Yeah, we don't have we are very close knitted people. We work, of course I do have people based out in offshore as well, so even I have been there and I visited them personally. So yeah, our relationships are good. That makes kind of what ticks us relationships.
Okay, great. That sounds great. Okay. Okay. And as you mentioned about earlier, you are also working as a PM. So, how you deal with your external pressure? So, why I'm asking these questions? Because nowadays, a lot of project managers told you, let's say some project manager will come and they're going to ask you that you have to increase your team velocity, or let's say your client will come and going to tell you that your team is not delivering on time. So, how you will cope up with this kind of external pressures?
Well, I think you stole my thought there because that's one of the things which I faced. That so we have in our organizational structure we have the line managers. They are responsible for deliveries and all that stuff. So though they have tried in agile ways of working and all, but still this the pressure to delivery, maybe it comes trickle down from the top. That times they come, okay, why don't you guys increase velocity? Maybe the last sprint you delivered an X, why don't you make it X plus? So that push is always comes from their side. But what I would say them go back and say is that so when we have a sprint, we have planned it. So whatever the kind of the capacity we have with the given the sprint, so we could best deliver those items which we have committed to deliver. So and the next part is, so it's not about increasing velocity is going to make things good. At the end of the day, the value delivery is what important. So if you're looking at as a manager that velocity is directly kind of implies that it's a they are giving a great productivity. So maybe they can if per se my team is delivering 30 story points, they can make it to 35. But if it is not giving you the value which customer expecting on a priority basis, it has got no value in it. So if I the way I look at is productivity and just bringing up productivity in the team. So my emphasis is towards the cycle time, lead time. Those areas I look at that what is blocking them to kind of complete the given story as early as possible within the kind of an estimations what we have. So those things is important for me rather than looking at as a velocity. If I could able to get our team uh, smoothly working and they can give a decent throughput and cycle time, that means there is no blocks in between. So they're pulling them back in their stories when they start. So I strongly believe in the philosophy, the lean philosophy, that just stop starting and start finishing. So that's how I look at. And in fact, when I faced with situation, this is how I convinced him that velocity is not the one which you look at when we are looking at how good team is doing and how they are delivering their value. So there is another aspects to it. It's just not velocity. For me, velocity I don't even look at as a the entity for productivity. It is more of some value, some guidance for us to how we can plan for the next sprint rather than productivity as such.
Yeah, yeah, you're correctly mentioned. Yeah, yeah, good, Venu. Yeah, okay. And why don't you tell me in brief about your Scrum process, like how exactly you guys work in your team?
See, well, the Scrum process is it's basically we are strongly no believe and we emphasize and we that's how we our foundation of our Scrum process is the transparency and the inspect and adapt. These principles, we strongly emphasize in our team. So we look at every opportunity as where you can inspect and adapt and get better. So in a big picture, our Scrum process involves all the traditional the events, the Scrum advices. The Scrum itself is an event. So where we start planning and at the end we deliver value increment to the the customer or the people we are working for. Maybe it could be a business. So when we have, of course, then daily scrum we do. So that itself is an inspect and adapt the event for us, where we do what we have done in last 24 hours and what better we can do in next 24 hours, and if there is anything coming in between for us to kind of slow down us to achieve our sprint goal. That's the very important the event for us. Having said that, sprint planning is that's where we collaborate as a team, and where we plan together along with PO that what best you can deliver for the next sprint. And that's how that event is going to be the important event as such. So other than that, sprint review. So when we put in our effort, and when we do our best, when we create a value, so we show it to our uh, POs, our other stakeholders, and what we have created for that particular sprint, and what value it can bring to them, and how they can you know achieve their business goals along by using this value what we have delivered. And retrospective is another very good and very important event for us, so where that gives an opportunity for us to inspect and adapt again. So that where our team come together and they openly we discuss, and we will see that how the event went through in the course of 2 weeks sprint what we have, and what is that something which we can better it, and is it something is not working, and maybe something we can just leave aside, and we can maybe bring on some new ideas into the picture, and we discuss and we brainstorm, and we select the best, and we'll see that how we can move forward. These are all the events perspective, how we look at our scrum as a process.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so according to you, what is a self-organized team, and how do you teach, or how you will make a self-organizing team?
Well, see, self-organization for the team is it's very much the core of Agile. So that's what even Agile principles teaches. So that self-organizing team i- can do the best, provided we give them whatever the support tools they need, and the kind of motivation to achieve their goals. It maybe if you look at our scrum principles, so it could be principle 5, principle 11 and 12, which clearly emphasizes that self-organizing teams, the teams which are really empowered, can do the best job in a scrum setup. So how we can make teams self-organized? It's a process. It is not that overnight we can do that. So where we begin is, so rather than we start teaching the team that how we can self-organize, before that I would like to see that is there equipped to be self-organized. So do they have all the required skills in the team, so that where they can self-organize and deliver the increment, whether they have all the required infrastructure and required facilities around them, so that where they can be the best on themselves to deliver the value. So coming back to how we can go about making them self organized, it's a process. It is not something you turn it around in a day. So first thing what I would do is, I would whether it could be in a coaching, or it could be in a teaching, or in a mentoring, depends upon the kind of situation and time, the kind of stance I would need to take. So there I would emphasize on uh, Scrum values and principles, and what they mean exactly, and how they will support you. It could be being open and being courageous, and the way they need to commit to the team, and how they can deliver the value. So the next important thing is that making clear to the team that their roles. So what is Scrum Master role? What is PO role? What is team, the development team as a whole, their role? So they should not look at Scrum Master as my manager. He is gonna guide me everywhere what I do. So you should look at, is there Scrum Master is there to help them to bring out the best in them, rather than helping them to in every event and situation. So that's one of the important aspects. So the next thing is aligning them with our product goals and vision, and every individual will have their own motivations, their own goals, and making them aligned with the product which we are delivering, creating that shared understanding. So that's what it brings the kind of motivation. And one thing I strongly believe, especially in this journey, is so I want to give them a goal, one destination, one vision. So that's I call it as the high performing journey. So I want to create that metaphor, saying that okay, this is your high performance journey. This is what where you are strive to go and achieve. So then how you so the best thing I use is the high performing tree. So what is your roots? What kind of principles? What kind of values is aligned to you as a roots? And what kind of, when it comes to maybe if you look at as a leaves, so what is the best practices and qualities as a team you should have, and fruits. So if you when you align with your roots and your leaves, which make you strong, then how what kind of fruits you're going to produce. So you team as a team, they can cooperate well, they can deliver the best value, they can take on any challenges, they can do the best in any situation, they can motivate each other, they can be accountable to each other. So that's how I look at. And another part is obviously a journey. So when we form a team, from there where they will get through forming, norming, storming, and performing. So I would guide them through that journey. So it's a different stages of journey that how they can gel well and they can move forward. Having said that, so for in this context, the relationship, the trust between each other is very important. So when it comes to the team building, so I strongly believe that building a strong team is very important component of making them self-organized. So where people have vulnerability, trust, and healthy conflict, and peer-to-peer accountability, and good attention to the results. So these are all the ingredients of the good team. So these are all things which I emphasize in the course of time, and see that how we can move forward. And of course, wherever the opportunities exist, when I do this observation within my team, wherever the opportunity I see that I can, maybe as a team, as an individual, I need to talk to them, and I need to coach them, and I need to mentor them. So I use all the opportunities to make them better.
Okay, thank you. I think you have given a very good explanation in detail. So thanks for that, Venu. So Venu, why don't you tell us about some of that retrospective remote tools if you are using something? How you are doing your retrospective nowadays with this COVID? Can you
So
just tell us few examples?
see, of course, the Teams is one of the primary tool for us to interact with each other. It could be video calls, it could be audio calls, charts. That's the primary medium we use. So when it comes to retrospectives, we use Miro. That's a tool we use, so where it has a very good the features capabilities, where we can create a different techniques within that, and where we can perform retrospectives, maybe a different retrospectives, depends upon the kind of situation, depends upon the kind of the sprint, what the journey we have been through, that what could be arguably we would need to discuss. So we will design retrospectives, and we do that.
Venu, can you just tell me one or two action item from your last retrospective?
See, in the last retrospective, we had an interesting action item. So we had a little bit of pressure from, obviously, as I mentioned initially, that external pressure is part and parcel as such. So there was a time that we wanted to deliver little more. That's what the pressure. Though we were talking to POs, line managers, how to align and find the common ground. So that's what something which we have discussed in the retrospective as well. So there few people, though it's not an unanimous choice, few people suggested that maybe we are doing well, decent job. So maybe we can look at maybe canceling some events, including a retrospective, and why don't you utilize that time on building some value. So but yeah, anyway, it is not, there are some opinions came in that context. So I have to make them understand is how important the retrospective as a human event, so that where we look back and reflect what we have done in the course of 2 weeks and how we can improve ourselves. So, and even I made a point that when we are looking at the situation here, that there is a the pressure that we need to deliver you know we- more, and maybe in a little bit an urgent context, the business demands and are coming in. So this is the very event which provides us a platform to deliberate and discuss and see what best we can do, so how we can accommodate the pressure which is coming for the more deliveries. And it could be how we can find a middle path, and how we can convince our PO and line managers that what we can do, how we can do, what best we can deliver. So that's the one of the action which we have planned is from that meeting. So we are going to deliver the best value possibly what we can deliver, which we can deliver within our sprint. But I put a lot of emphasis on sustainability. So and see, because how this came in is some team members came up with these lean principles, which I have taught them earlier, that when we are working that muda mura muri, so that where we should look at sustainable pace. We should not burn out, it could be our team or people within what we are using. So sustainable pace is what makes us better and deliver better. If you put too much pressure on ourselves as individuals, maybe our quality would suffer, or maybe our commitments would suffer. So I told that at the end. So the action item which we came out of that meeting is, so we are going to have a collaborative conversation with our line manager and our PO, and we will going to deliver the best value what possibly we can deliver, rather than putting it around increased velocity and increase something else. That's not the way it works.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay. And how you handle conflict in your team? Can you just give some example?
Well, conflict is very much a part and parcel of the teams. As I mentioned some time back, the healthy conflict is always desirable. At times, it overshoots as well, with whether it could be within the team. We will have a conflict with other stakeholders working with us. So if I look back, in the recent past, so we had one conflict with our product owner. So where product owner was telling that maybe your technical debt what you have accumulated, so that I what I have seen is it is taking a little bit of time of our capacity. So I don't want to look at that as something which is value being created. So why don't you guys work on those aspects which is outside your spent time, and why don't you focus more on user stories, which where you can deliver value. But I have to kind of talk to him, and I have to convince him technical debt itself is, in the sense clearing technical debt and keeping our the code base and our architectural roadmap everything healthy, that itself is a value, that creates an intrinsic value. So if we are not creating an healthy code base, and you just can't keep piling up new the features on it, so it maybe the quality will suffer, on the performance might go down, or the whole system might kind of crumble one fine day. So I have to kind of explain him, and I have to make sure that he understood that how much importance clearing technical debt carries. So that's one conflict what we had, which I can bring up. Maybe, yeah, there are many conflicts such I can bring up is especially within the team we had conflict ones that where we are actually implementing on finance features of one of our applications, where we need to represent those features in a graphs, in a graphical context. So there some people came up with an idea saying that let's go with bar graphs. Some people said that okay, let's do it in pi. So everybody came up with their own ideas that how bar graphs would make life easy, how pi graphs would life make easy. So that's where we have to collaboratively, we need to discuss and see at the end of the day what best we can deliver, so that will enhance our customer experience, that will create value, and at the same time keeping the context that what kind of complexities we need to face and we need to address while creating those the features, what it comes across. Maybe at the end of the time customer satisfaction also important. So that's where we collaborated there, and maybe then we had a brief chat about our PO and our stakeholders. Then finally we settled for five charts.
Okay, interesting. Okay, good. Okay. And as you mentioned, like you are currently into Denmark. So how do you work with people from diversified backgrounds? People from Denmark, from India. Do you find any kind of challenges with working with?
Yes, of course. When I say, I don't really call it as a challenge as such, but yeah, see, the people from located in different geographies, so they have different background, different cultural ways. They have kind of born and brought up, and they have seen the life together. So there is a difference. So how I deal with those people is, at the first thing I want to tell you is that I would make sure that they get a feeling that they are one team. They are together. They are not the team sitting in India or Denmark or maybe some other location. They are all one team. The only difference is they are sitting in different location and different geographies. That's the first thing. The second thing what I would look at is building relationships with, could be with me or within the team. So that's very important for us. So the way people understand each other much better, they will understand their sensibilities also, so that how the person react to the situation, how they speak, how they behave. So they those things are which are important. So when it comes to me, as I mentioned that I have worked in different geographies, and I have kind of would mingled, and I've had relationships and I working relationships in the context that so where I can understand their nuances, that how to talk to them, and how to make them feel comfortable within the team, and how to kind of keep their motivation together, and how they can collaborate, especially when they're sitting in a different geographical location. There could be a lot of interdependencies they have when it comes to work, so how they work together. At the same time, I i taught my team also, and I also strongly believe that the first thing we need is, we need to respect people as they are, whether it could be their skill set and their competencies, their personal aspects of it, professional aspects of it. We need to respect what they are as a person, as a professional, and we need to see that how we can bring the best out of them, and that too in the context of you know team, that where they can contribute and they can learn and they can move forward together. So that's what I strongly believe. As I mentioned, I have worked with people from different geographies, so I have a decent you know kind of context to deal with these people.
Okay, good. Okay. And can you just tell us about different estimation technique which you guys are using currently in your project?
So well, see, primarily the when it comes to estimation, we use planning poker, the story point estimation we use. So if you look at in a broader prospect as estimation techniques, of course, this planning poker is one among them, and we have t-shirt sizing, and the affinity system, and there is another technique called. I'm not getting the name. Bucket system. Uh, Something. I think there is another. I'm not getting that right name. So there are a couple of techniques. So what we use is, as I mentioned, that we use the story point estimation. So compared to other estimation techniques, uh, personally, I found much value in it. So that how we can estimate. Keeping your complexity, uncertainty, and variabilities in the picture. So especially when we use Fibonacci series, so that we can factor in that kind of uncertainties as the story size grows bigger.
Okay, okay. So when you have already told me about a lot of things about the challenges which you are facing. Can you just tell me something which you have not told me till now? Any challenge which, as a Scrum Master, you are facing it and how you have resolved it?
Well, see, COVID itself is a challenge. In the of late, if you look at last 1 year or so, so I believe that's the challenge. I think most of the people, not most, everybody, each and everybody who working in any field for that matter, they are faced with this problem. So maybe I would want to talk about another challenge which I have came across in our team, especially I mean, maybe I can talk about two important challenges, that especially how the COVID magnitude defined the way we work, and another aspect that we had an personal issue with one of our team members. So because how we dealt with that. So the let me talk about that team member issue. So one of our team member, she has to face a situation that she has to go through a diverse situation. So I understand, and that's a very difficult phase for us. So she was very low in maybe in the motivation context, especially generally, and maybe at a personal context, or maybe in a professional context, she's not able to cope with the work and the disturbances which are haunting her in her personal life. So there, our team came into picture, because our team is so close knitted, and we are so much together, and we have a strong relationship within the team. The way we support each other, team understood our situation, and respected her, and give her the comfort she wanted. And whenever she was kind of becoming a slow, other people pitched in and helped her, and we able to meet those the commitments which are coming our way for that sprint. And she wanted to go for a break. She wanted to take a couple of weeks leave to deal with her personal situation. So there, what presently surprised our team is, they had so much respect, and know the kind of relationship with her. In the next sprint, they said that we are ready to take our kind of work and responsibility, and we need to complete that commitment. So that's a tribute what we can pay it to her, because she is in a difficult times. But having said that, so we have negotiated with our PO, and based on our capacity, and we picked only the pieces which we could pick, and we could comfortably finish within the capacity what we had for that sprint, leaving our absence aside. So when it comes to her, I was always in touch with her. I used to speak to her, and I used to comfort her. So because she is a very good resource for us, so we are looking at bringing her back to normal. maybe in a personal perspective, in a professional perspective, we arranged a wellness coach for her, so that where they can talk to her and they can motivate her, and they can make her understand how to deal with life situations and all those stuff. Though luckily within our organization we have those facilities where we can talk to wellness coaches, and when if you have any concerns within your personal life or professional life, anything context in general. So that's the one thing which we have dealt very well. That was one of the challenges for me, so that it is somewhere in between personal life and professional life. It is kind of interdependent. So how we can negotiate that situation, and we can bring it up the situation back to the normal. And later on she took 2 weeks leave, and then she joined the team back a couple of days early. So she felt that this is the best place for her to be, so that where they can come, she can come here, they can mingle with the team, and she can focus on work, so that that is how she can forget other aspects which are going on in her life. So it's something we dealt kind of decently with that aspect. And I feel happy that we could able to support her whatever the best we can do. So another situation, especially the recently, this is almost 2 years back situation. What I said recently in COVID situation, we had a problem. One of my offshore member who sits in India, his father is a doctor. So obviously in COVID situation, he was working in the front line. But he contracted with COVID. That was unfortunately in the initial stages. That's sometime in June, July time. That COVID is new to everybody, and it was a very traumatic kind of situation for him to deal with, because there is a lot of fear, and there is the lot of stories, newses which are floating around across the public domain, that what happens with the COVID people and what not happens. There's this. It's a very dicey situation. He has to get quarantine, and he was literally under so much of pressure. And again we voluntarily, before he is asking, we told them that you take maybe a couple of weeks leave, and maybe cope with your personal life. And that's where again we know our team coordinated well. And when before when we already had commitments, when he has to go on leave, our team cooperated, and they stood up to the challenge, and they took that additional responsibility, and where we could deliver that commitment. And it's been good. And yeah, again the same thing, we have supported him well. So, and we made them feel that we are there for him for any thing which is required to support mentally, uh, and any aspect of his well-being.
Okay, great, great, Vinu. I think, yeah. So when we are good with this session, with this interview. So I think it went well. You have anything else?
Well, maybe if you have any question